Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we do a new character every week. This week, we're going to be talking about Warlock, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Brad.
And I'm Steven.
And Brad just sprung that one on me without giving me much heads up. Hey, how are you guys doing today? How are you doing today, Brad?
I'm doing fine.
How are you doing, Steven?
I'm doing pretty excellent. Thank you, Fred. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing as well as I can be. I'm pretty tired still. I was up late last night and awake early this morning. So, and I'm not used to that. It's been a rough day, but I'm surviving, and I'm glad to have you back on the pod, Steven. I hear you didn't have power for a while.
Yes, that is correct. We had 4 tornadoes, EF1s only, but still enough to knock out power and do quite a bit of damage up here in Northeast Ohio and the Cleveland area. So,
Man, well,
luck
I'm glad. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
we're lucky they didn't come off the lake because when that happens on a water spout, usually it picks up a lot of fish and dumps them in the city streets.
Oh
So,
God. Oh, horrible. Well, I'm glad you've got power back, and I'm glad you're back online, and that
thank you.
you weren't hurt or anything.
No,
Uh,
just some spoiled food in the freezer, and that's about it. So,
yeah. Well, that's good. Not good that it's spoiled, but it's good that that's the only thing that was damaged.
right, could
All
be
right.
worse.
It could indeed. All right. Let's quickly go over upcoming events before we go into news. So it is August, and right now we have no more events in August that I am aware of. Coming up later in September, though, there is a tournament on September the 14th at Akron at the Akron Brew Brawl. Uh, what is the name of that brewery, so that we can give that name out to the people?
Missing Falls Brewery.
The Missing Falls Brewery. If you want to attend, that is on the 14th. It was a lot of fun last time, and it should be a lot of fun this time. Then coming up on the 21st of September, there is a tournament at Lost Legion Games and Comics. That is our local store, and it'll be a lot of fun. Then coming up on the 28th of September is the BECC tournament qualifier at Pittsburgh in the Fabricators Forge. That will also be an LVO qualifier. This is going to be a big event. That's September 28th. All right. So that's what I know of right now. There might be some more stuff scattered in there, but that's what I'm aware of. Okay. Let's go over news today. So we got a big piece of news in that we now know what characters are going to be affiliated with the Apocalypse leadership. There's a whole bunch. I don't think we want to go over all of them because that would be a little bit tedious. But what I want to throw it over to you guys to talk about highlights, if you want to even talk about that. So, Brad, what are your first thoughts on this pile of information that they gave us?
I'm glad Psylocke's there.
Psylocke, who is death, and another thing
War?
that's
Is
much
she
less good
Death
for
War?
Death
No,
Famine.
Death
She's
Fam.
Death Famine.
That's right, because she's a terrible famine. I have it literally, like, the people watching on YouTube think I'm a big idiot right now because I literally have it right in front of me. I, like, on my screen. She is Death Famine. Yeah. The way better death.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that Hulk didn't make the list.
I mean, Hulk didn't make the list for a reason. It's
Yeah,
because 6 Point Hulk is a menace. He's a menace.
but like he's also one of the only characters they could have put on here.
I know he fits thematically. He's a 6 point danger to the entire zone.
Yeah, but most of these characters, other than Hulk, like haven't been four horsemen, or were four horsemen in different universes. It seems a shame to leave off someone who was in the main universe a horseman.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, Hulk is super thematic, but if they make Hulk a member of this faction, he's gonna be like he would be War, right? He would be War and
War and
probably
something
Death.
else. Well, I mean, I wouldn't want him as Death. I'd rather see him as Pestilence.
Okay.
But
He would be too good. He's so good
he
already.
he probably would be. But
It is a shame because one of our one of the players in West Virginia, Brandon, not the Brandon on the podcast, a different
Yeah.
Brandon, wanted his Hulk is built to be the War Hulk. Like he kit bashed it to make it look like War Hulk, and it looks amazing.
It does
It looks
look good.
incredible.
Another one of these that I like, I've seen Magic as Famine twice now. Jared played a game, and then Michael and I played a game, and Michael was playing Apocalypse, and he used Magic as Famine. She's a pretty good Famine.
Okay.
Remind me, what does famine do again, please?
You get
Famine.
you get tokens for not being within range 3 of a non-dazed enemy, and she can stay outside of 3. And then Fred, what's the other ability?
The other ability is called Vanish into Dust. It's choose up to one enemy character within range 2 of this character. If an enemy character is chosen in this way, it loses 1 power. And then place this character within range 2 of its current position. This superpower can be used only once per turn.
So
I'd put that on Deadpool all day long. Because he can drain power naturally. Plus this.
Well, but he doesn't ever want to be outside of 3 of other characters, does he? I guess if he's shooting at them.
He
with
can be. Magic that just gives her 2 different teleports she can use at different times. And she does want to stay outside of 3. So she's better at getting tokens. But if you are just wanting to drain power, then Deadpool's the one to do it.
Yeah. Steven, what are your thoughts on this list of Apocalypse characters?
I like where the thought process is, especially with characters who are not deemed very good in the game right now. They might see some light with people experimenting with them. I'm referring specifically to Gambit and Mr. Sinister.
I think you're right. One of those will get tested and maybe do okay.
Which one are you thinking of?
Gambit's horrible even as a horseman. I think Cassandra Nova might also see a little bit of play.
Well, I think she might be too high of a threat along with Apocalypse, but you never know. I mean, people think of things all the time.
I will say this.
She's a great Famine.
Yeah, she's a great Famine, and I'll say this. I think that this is the most likely she is to be played, even if it's still unlikely in all of her affiliations.
I'm surprised you're not playing her in Spider Folks. She's a great Trap House list. Anyway.
Oh boy, why'd you say that? Now I'm thinking about it.
my hot take is that I really can. What can Sabretooth be again, please?
He can be War and Death. Wait, no, that's not correct. That's not correct.
War. And Pestilence.
He can be War and Pestilence.
Okay, so he can't be Death. I think he'd be broken if he were Death.
Does he even give out?
He gives out Bleed.
He gives out Bleed. Okay.
Yeah. I think he's decent as Pestilence. Also, the Pestilence ability's better than I thought when we discovered this when Michael was playing. I thought you pick a model within 2 and then pick one of those things to do. It's every enemy model within 2. You get to pick one of those 2. So you can pick a different
Each
one
enemy
for each
model
one.
within range 2, choose one. Okay, interesting.
That was really good. It wrecked me. And I
Okay.
already had a pretty high opinion of Pestilence. I think it's one of the easiest ways to get tokens. Uh, and it's that ability is so good.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I like Sabretooth in this too, the OG Sabretooth. So
Yeah, and this is another one that is more likely to see play now that he's in this affiliation.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a lot that we need to discuss involving Apocalypse. We will save that for our Apocalypse episode. Now let's go into games that we've played recently. So Brad and I were recently in a tournament. We were at the Lost Legion Games and Comics tournament, and I won. I won this tournament. I'm spoiling it right now. In it was there were only 5 players. It was just myself, Mike, Jared, who used to be on the podcast, Borka, and Brad. So it was a pretty small turnout, but it was still a lot of fun. And I was playing my Spider Foes. I went back to Spider Foes for this, and they are great. I forgot how much I enjoyed Spider Foes as a faction. It's a lot of fun. Um, I guess I'll just start. I'll talk about my round 1. Uh, my first round was against Mike, and we were playing Paranoia, Pummel's Populace, and Mutant Madmen, and we were playing at 18 threat. In this game was quite close. I was playing Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Rhino, and Craven the Hunter and Lizard. And Craven the Hunter fought Michael's Wolverine and won. He dazed Wolverine and then KO'd Wolverine before he could activate. So that went very well for me right there in the middle, and that basically put Michael on the back foot for the rest of the game. So I was able to pull out this game 21-15. Brad, do you want to talk? Oh,
Yeah,
I was about.
I won my first round 14-0. My opponent was a chump.
Yeah, so Brad got the bye round 1. So well done,
Yeah.
Brad. Good job.
Whoever this buy guy is, he's got a perfect record without winning a game ever.
Yeah,
So
he's uh Rosencrantz constantly flipping a coin that's both head. It has 2 sides that are heads. Anyway, that was way too obscure of a reference.
I mean, I got
Uh,
it, Fred. I just didn't think it was very funny.
fair, fair. Brad, why don't you talk about your second round?
The second round, I played Borka. He was playing Kingpin. He won the role, played his secures, so I was losing the game to start, and I had to try to win it from there, because Kingpin on his own secures is winning by default. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong. I played one of my better games against Kingpin on his own secures that I've ever played. But I was pretty consistently at least a couple points behind the whole game. So, and then at the end of the game, he ran away with Black Cat, and I needed to get very lucky on a couple die rolls and to stay in the game, and I did not get very lucky on some die rolls. So the game was over, and it was something like 17-14 or something like that.
It was 18-13.
18-13.
I've got it. I've got it open right here.
Yeah.
That's Kingpin for you.
Yeah, it's
Kingpin's
so hard.
pain.
It was for completeness, it was super powered scoundrels. So Was
and
it
scrolls.
Scrolls? Yeah. And Scrolls.
Yeah.
Like, that's 9 points. That's going to favor Kingpin. For sure.
Yeah. That's a lot of points on the table. My round 2 game was against Jared, formerly of this podcast. He was playing Midnight Suns, which I enjoyed seeing, and I was playing my Spider Foes, and it was on Crisis. It was on Paranoia Pummels Populous and Demons Downtown. So I usually don't like seeing Demons Downtown, but I've got game into it with Doc Ock, his leadership, because he can make them shake, incinerate when they take damage from an attack. So I'll only be taking one attack while incinerated, in theory. This game went very well for me. This game went hard in my favor, and part of that is that Jared was playing Ghost Rider into my list, and I love seeing Ghost Rider because I can throw Ghost Rider a lot of ways. I threw him twice almost every round into his people, and that gave me a huge advantage. Uh, Constantly throwing Ghost Rider, I was getting well ahead on both attrition and scenario. And then at one point, I had priority somehow. I threw. Actually, no, I didn't have priority. He did, and he whiffed his attacks. And so I activate Lizard. Lizard throws Ghost Rider into one of his models. It KOs Ghost Rider. So he uses Deal with the Devil, comes back through a wounded Iron Fist, and which KOs Iron Fist, and then Lizard proceeds to KO Ghost Rider again with cold-blooded attacks. I blew up my dice on a cold-blooded attack and did something like 7 damage. So and at that point the game was basically over. This game ended 16-6 in my favor, and it just reinforced my love of Spider Foes. And that won me the game right there, because that made me the only undefeated person still in the tournament. So, it was a good game. It was a good tournament, and we have a couple other games to talk about. But before we do, Steven, do you have any games that you want to talk about?
I just played a couple of games. I was doing a practice game with Gilberto, and he's getting ready for a tournament, so I brought out Web Warriors, and I made a whole bunch of mistakes. It was a close game, but there were so many mistakes. It's one of those games that you really can't say anything about because, the game state was totally wrecked. So,
Yeah.
mostly my fault. So, I'm not. So I'm out of practice with my Web Warriors, so to speak. Because the last time I really played them in earnest was at the last Akron Brew Brawl, where I was on the final table with Brandon. So then I played a second game against Kevin, and he was running Web Warriors because he likes them. And I defaulted to my new list, which was Hydra. And boy, am I loving Hydra.
Yeah, really.
Oh, the condition game is just very strong with them. So I'm modifying, I'm tweaking, so on and so forth. But it seems my core is Red Skull, Master of the World, Spider Woman, Winter Soldier, Operative, Arnim Zola, Baron Strucker, and Baron Mordo for some mystic attacks. But he gives out a lot of conditions, and he spreads conditions too. So,
Okay.
But
are you playing under Baron Strucker's leadership? Is that
oh
the plan?
yes, oh
Okay,
yes,
okay.
oh yes. I'm experimenting with Baron Helmet Zemo, the 4th threat Zemo, and we'll see where that goes. Um,
Let me know if he does really good, because I think that I've been talking about this recently because I was playing a lot of Cabal. It- I'm trying to find a situation where I would play him over 3-point Zemo, and I can never come up with a situation.
I think it's in
So
Hydra
it's in Hydra. That's the place, because he does have
because
that X pistol does give out conditions, right?
correct. It gives out three conditions.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Okay.
plus he has because it can do slow, stun, and stagger. I mean, you have to get the Yahtzee, of course, but he does have a reroll that does help him with that.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing about that is sometimes, and I haven't figured it out yet, but sometimes you can start him off as the leader, and then go to Baron Strucker with a versatile strategy now, or wait till Baron Helmet Zemo gets dazed, or excuse me, KO'd, and then do two more Shall Rise to do Baron Strucker and um, Red Skull, Master of the World. So
Oh.
could make for a good finishing list.
Huh. Okay.
But yeah, just things like that. And I'm also running Viper in this experimental list because she gives out
Viper.
a lot of she gives out a lot of conditions too.
Viper, who is critically underplayed. Like, I think she's good.
Long move stealth. That's all I got to say, right?
Yeah, with a place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, she's. I'm not going to say she's a copycat of Black Cat, but she has a lot of Black Cat's ability. The only thing that makes Black Cat so vastly uh, played over her is the fact that she has the steel, and then she also has the luck factor, the bad luck. So
And she's got the auto stagger. That's like 2-point auto stagger is like crazy.
it is, but you can get around it. It's no big
Mm,
deal. She
True.
doesn't like using that stagger if you got a lot of small people.
True. Yeah, if you're playing Hydra. Yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
right.
So anyway, but we did the Web Warriors. We were on Spider Infected as his extracts, and we were on my sword base, which is a scenario I'd love to see. I lost priority, but he wanted to do his extracts. I picked 17 for this, and I went with Skull, Zola, Strucker, Winter Soldier, and Baron Mordo. And I got off the World Domination
Ooh, nice.
about mid game and got 2 points off of it and gave everybody 2 power and kind of sealed the deal right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you see a Hydra list with sword base, be warned. They're pretty good on
Right.
it.
World Domination, such a good card.
It is. It is. Free victory points, basically.
Yeah. All right. Brad, I want to hear about the games that were tried out with Apocalypse.
Well, the first one was Michael playing his Avengers, which he played at the tournament, versus Jared, who wanted to try out Apocalypse. Um, Fred, you'll have to help me remember here what he played. I know he played Magic,
He played Magic,
Wolverine.
Wolverine, and another model.
Yeah, he had three
uh,
horsemen because I talked him into playing playing a 4-pointer over playing two 2-pointers, which will be relevant when I talk about the second game. Um,
it was Archangel.
it was
Because he died real
Archangel.
early. Yeah.
It was Archangel, and Hulk was on the opposite team, and it was Mayor Fisk and Cubes.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
It was cubes.
we figured out Cubes not great for Apocalypse, which that wasn't his scenario anyway, and especially with Hulk in the list. So Michael kind of just let Jared collects some cubes on Apocalypse to wear him down, and then he just hit him, I think, once to daze him.
Yeah, I think he did not hurt Apocalypse until he punched him once with Hulk, and that dazed Apocalypse.
Yeah, and
So he got
mostly
around that healing ability.
yeah, and mostly focused on the other characters. Like Fred said, Archangel went down very quickly. Um, Jared rolled terrible with Wolverine, and Wolverine did nothing the entire game.
Compared to Michael's Wolverine that killed the world.
Yeah, and but Magic did pretty good.
That's true.
And then Michael ended up winning the game. And then later, Michael and I played, and I was playing my X-Men, which I played at the tournament, Cyclops X-Men, and he played Apocalypse, and we got my secures, so it was Sword, and his extracts, and it ended up being Montesi formula, where we threw that one in there to give it a try. And I had priority, so I got 2 Montesi formulas on my 2 sword stations, and I didn't even have anyone in the middle of the board during this game. I crossed over it a couple times, but like the first couple turns, I was completely on my side of the board. He almost dazes Toad, but Toad then slipperies, and Apocalypse ends up all the way up in my grill at one point, but I was attacking everyone but Apocalypse, if at all possible. So he had Honey Badger, Psylocke, Blob, and he had the 4th Horseman. It was
I'm not going to be able to help you on this one.
No. You can't. I'll think of it. Anyway, Honey Badger was like right in the middle of the board at turn 1, like really, really early. Like his first move was like double move her as far as she could. And so I dazed and then killed her very quickly.
Okay.
So, and then somewhere in there it came up like, can Apocalypse still use the abilities after the character after the Horseman's KO'd? And it seems that way. That's the way the card is worded. So, he's still got to use her ability. Because the leader card says that you can use the abilities of Horseman cards that were assigned this game.
Huh. Okay. So it's if they're assigned, he can use them.
Yeah, that's how it's worded. So unless they say something else, I would think everyone's going to do that, because that's exactly what it says.
Interesting.
Yeah. I had Nightcrawler. I had my own Psylocke, Bishop, Toad, and Cyclops Leader. I actually, Fred, you'll be really proud of me. I don't think I missed a single leadership trigger.
Hey, good job.
and the list really clicked together because of that. I did so many things. Everyone had so much power for me to do their stuff that it really clicked this game. And it was close the entire time. It was like I scored 4 to his 3, I scored 4 to his 3, he scored 4 to my 3, and then but the last turn of the game, I had killed Blob. I had obviously killed Honey Badger. He still had Apocalypse, who was healthy but maybe dazed. I don't remember. Oh, Magic. Magic was his other horseman. Magic was still alive at 1, and Psylocke was fine. But I'm because I like dazed models and KO'd models at particular times, I actually scored all 7 points the last turn.
Ooh.
Yeah. So like, and at that point the score was like 14-13 or something like that, and then I scored 7 points to his 0
Okay.
on the last turn. Like, everything just kind of came together that last turn. I got he started 2 models down, Blob and Honey Badger are already gone, and I dazed. I don't think I ever dazed Magic, so I think I dazed Psylocke before she got to activate, and then Apocalypse had a bad turn, and then I just got to score out.
Okay then. Well, that's good.
Uh,
So we watched Apocalypse play 2 games
yeah,
and he lost both of them.
he did, but like people were still figuring it out. Obviously, we're figuring out who to play, what to play them as, what scenarios to play, how to put all that together. I've been impressed. Like, Magic as Famine was really good. I think Psylocke as Death was really good. It further reinforced when I saw it that Honey Badger should not be in your list.
Yeah.
She did nothing. And Blob was in a bad spot and didn't get to do anything, so I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like I think Borka brought up this point that the skill factor for Apocalypse as a leadership might be one of the highest of any of the affiliations, just because of how many different things you have to take into account when you're building the list
Yeah,
and what you want.
I know Jared was talking about that at one point too. I don't know.
Maybe it was Jared who brought it up.
Yeah, but yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, this might be the hardest leadership to get around. Like, one of our newer players, Dan, he started out and he really likes web warriors and he likes spider foes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were saying to
Good
him
taste.
that, yeah, we were saying to him, Dan, you started out with like 2 of the leaderships that are probably the hardest factions to play, in the fact that web warriors, on a scale of 1 to 10, we think is about an 8 to implement, and then with all their moving parts, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Not just their leadership, but all the moving parts on how web warriors, they sling around the table, they sling other people around the table, and then of course spider foes we put right under that at a 7. With all their tricks and traps and all that stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Apocalypse with his horseman card and his leadership, I think it's a 9 or a 10 in
It's got to
its
cap out the
difficulty.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take some practice for people to get there. So I'm glad I got to see at least most of 2 games. I saw one completely. I saw most of the other. Like, even though I wasn't playing them, I planned to, and seeing what was done has got me thinking about some things.
Right. Put the ideas in your head about how to play an apocalypse list.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those were the games that we played recently. I think we've spoken enough about that. So let's move on. We are not gonna do a recalibration matrix this week. We'll pick that up some other time. But I am going to talk to Steven about what his thoughts are on Sunspot that we covered last week.
Yeah.
Steven, what are your thoughts here on this guy that we were not agreed on? That myself and the rest of the party did not agree on Sunspot.
Well, like any character that's new that comes out, we don't know any tactics cards for him yet, right?
That's true.
Okay, so who knows what that's going to entail? We do know the leadership card for the new mutants, right? And we also know one of their other cards that's in the faction. So with that limited information and the information on his character sheet, I believe he falls into that category of um, other characters that use tokens as a mechanic, and they tend to be a little bit subpar in the overall scheme of things. So um, I'm probably at a C plus for him right at the moment, barring some other information coming out,
Okay,
just to be safe on that. So,
that's
but
fair.
but people like Mr. Sinister, Punisher, Hela, Killmonger, all these people who use tokens, even Craven to a certain extent, right? It's
Oh,
hard to
disagree.
but it's hard to implement those tokens at times, right? So,
Yeah,
and it's just another mechanic that they've added onto a character, and I understand that sometimes getting those flare tokens is easier, but the jury's still out. So I'm cautiously going to say a C plus right at the moment.
okay. Just as the heads up, I gave him an absurdly low score of a C minus. I
Mm-hmm.
recognize I was way too low. I will own that, but I am way down on him compared to everyone else, and largely because of the reasons that you said. Like, I don't like the tokens mechanic.
It's
Um,
easily forgettable in game too. That's the
yeah,
other thing.
yeah. But all right. Thank you for that on Sunspot, and we can move on to Brad's trivia game. So, Brad, give it to me. What's this trivia game?
Okay, Fred. I didn't know we were like that. So here's how the trivia game works. I have picked 3 MCP characters, and I have written trivia. The trivia is not about MCP; it's about the comics, which Fred does not read. Uh, there's 2 parts to each question. The first part, if Fred gets it right, he'll get 3 points. If he gets it right with the hint, he'll get 2 points. If he has to throw it to Steven, he'll get 1 point if Steven gets it correct. And he needs 6 points to win. Fred, do you have any questions? Great. This character led an invasion of Wakanda to capture a powerful artifact for his boss, but he was beaten by Black Panther's superior tactics, even though Wakanda was outnumbered and didn't have the technology this character's forces had.
Is this Claw?
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Your hint: this character's brother is part of the same team, though you probably wouldn't guess they are brothers by looking at them. They also rarely work together, as they are usually sent on different missions. This character is usually sent alone because he is strong and capable enough to accomplish his missions on his own. His brother usually works with someone else he's grown close to.
Oh gosh. Wow, crap. Now I'm really out in the woods here. So he's bringing back a piece of technology for his boss, or he's supposed to bring back a piece of technology for his boss, and it's probably a villain. Is this uh Brock Rumlow, Crossbones?
No. Steven, do
Okay.
you know who this is?
I'm lost in the woods. M'Baku?
It is not M'Baku. This is Black Dwarf.
Black Dwarf? Wait, who's his brother?
Corvus Glaive.
Corvus Glaive.
Oh, they're brothers?
Exactly.
Really?
That's why it says you probably wouldn't guess they are brothers by looking at them.
Okay. You're right. I would
And
not.
and who does Corvus Glaive usually work with, Fred?
Proxima Midnight.
And can you guess what technology he was going to Wakanda to get?
Oh God. Is vibranium is not enough of an answer, is it? It's
It has
you need more
nothing to
than just
has nothing to do with vibranium.
nothing to do with vibranium. Well, then, no idea.
What does Black Dwarf's boss always want?
The Infinity Stones.
Yeah, he was going to get an Infinity Stone. I thought it would give
Oh.
it away if I said that he was going to get an Infinity Stone, though.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Probably it would have put me on the right track at least.
Yeah, it would have made it a lot easier. Okay, Fred, you just have to nail these next two questions.
Great.
You ready?
Sure.
Although this character was sold into slavery at an early age, this character manages to break free of that and end up a leader of their people. During their rise, this character kills a wizard and takes control of the hounds of the Wild Hunt for their own use.
Oh my goodness. The Hounds of the Wild Hunt?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Look at that. That's a proper noun in there, Fred. That should make it way easier.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Takes control of the Hounds of the Wild Hunt and kills a wizard. He's sold into slavery until he becomes a leader of his people. Leader of his people. Is this okay. Is this Black Bolt?
No.
Okay.
Remember, Black Bolt grew up in a room with nobody else except the computer.
I know that, but I don't know like a lot can happen between growing up in a room and becoming the king of your people. I don't know.
For Black Bolt, nothing happened in between those. He
Well,
literally
okay.
came out of the room and was king. But he was not sold into slavery. That's my point. Okay,
Yeah.
here's your hint. This character once broke the cask of ancient winters, bringing an unending winter to Earth. That was fixed. Later, this character invaded Earth. This character is stopped by a core of his most hated foe. The core is made up of versions of that character from different times in his life, plus his ex-girlfriend. And this character declares themselves the butcher of his mortal enemy.
Okay, is this Malekith?
Yes, it is Malekith.
Okay, okay. I got there.
It was
Is
the
the Butcher of Thor's?
yes,
Is that the
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I thought that would be a pretty good clue. It's also the Thor core, and
Okay.
it's got regular Thor, King Thor, Thor from the 6th century, and Jane Foster Thor.
Okay.
And they beat him.
Malekith.
Yeah, Malekith
Okay.
the Accursed,
Yep.
as he is always called. Okay, last question, Fred. This character has only 7 comic book appearances.
Is that it? Is that
That-
the title?
That's the clue.
Oh my gosh.
It's a giant clue.
Is it?
It is.
They only have 7 comic book appearances. So it's someone who's extremely minor. Wait, is it Sunspot?
No, Fred.
Okay. Listen, I don't know Sunspot. I don't know anything about. You give me almost nothing here. I
That
know nothing about the comic books.
Fred. Your hint. The creation of this character was funded by a member of the group this character was created to exterminate.
Is this the Sentinel Mark IV?
It is the Sentinel Mark IV, Fred.
Hey, there
which
we
is
go.
which is why it only has 7 appearances, but is iconic enough to be put into the game because it's specifically the Mark IV. Sentinels
Right.
are all over the comics, but the Mark IV
Yes.
only has 7 appearances. And most of those are as adjunct Sentinel. Like that they use parts for. So that's 4 points for Fred. He now needs to get 2 points from this bonus question to win. What do these characters have in common?
Okay, so we've got Black Dwarf, we've got Malekith, and we've got Sentinel Mark IV. What do they have in common? Have they all been errated? I don't know if the Sentinel's been errated.
I don't think the
Hold on,
Sentinel's been
hold on.
errated.
I don't
think
their tactics
Black
card got errated.
Dwarf has been errated either.
Wait, I thought he did. I thought he definitely got errated. I might be wrong about that. Oh well, that's not my guess. I said that's not my guess before you responded.
Okay.
Well, I'm not.
You're
gonna
allowed
get it.
to.
I'm
You're
not gonna
allowed
get
to
it.
think out loud, Fred.
I'm not gonna get there though. I don't know what these things have in common. I don't have the cards open in front of me. What does the Sentinel Mark IV do that Malekith? Do they all have cards that heal them? Does Black Dwarf have a card that heals him? I don't know. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that they all have a tactics card that heals them.
I do not think that's correct. I do not think Black Dwarf has a card that heals them. They're all
Okay.
on 65 millimeter bases.
Oh, wait, no, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Wait, Black Dwarf. Hold on.
Yeah.
Black Dwarf is not on the same size base as Malekith.
Yes, he is. He is a size 4 model, sir.
Oh, they're all the same size, as in
No,
size.
they're not. I believe you could have answered Brad saying that these models are size 4 or greater, and you would have been correct. I think he would have accepted that.
Yeah, that's a true statement.
So,
No, but hold on, they're not on the same size.
Yes, they
base.
are, Fred. I am looking at him right now.
Black Dwarf is not on the same size base as Malekith the Accursed.
Yes,
Okay.
he is.
Fred, name a size 4 or a size 5 that is not on a 65 milli base.
Malekith the Hold on, am I insane? What is?
There are only 3 base sizes, Fred.
I feel like I'm going insane here.
There are only 3 base sizes.
Is that true?
That is true. There's only 3 in this game.
Rhino was the second threat 4, size 4, and he's on a 65 mil.
Yeah. Yeah, Rhino and Malekith are on the same base.
Okay.
I figured out what went wrong here. You don't think that Black Dwarf is on the same size base as, I don't know, She-Hulk, right? You just think Malekith is on an even bigger base.
I think Malekith is on an even bigger base.
But Malekith is not on an even bigger base. It is
there's some serious
size.
visual weirdness that's happening there.
He's huge.
Yeah.
His base isn't that big.
It's the wings that get you.
Yeah. It must be. Huh. Okay. Well, then I guess that's the case. All right. Well, let's move on then. I guess I lose, even though I'm over here having an existential crisis. What comes next? What's the next thing we do? After we do that, do we just go straight into the character that we're here to
I mean,
talk
unless
about?
we have other things like a recalibration matrix, but we don't.
Yeah, we don't.
Somebody's
Okay.
slacking. Don't know who that is.
All right, so today we're here to talk about Warlock, otherwise known as Warlock. His defenses are 3 physical, 3 energy, and 4 mystic. He has 5 health on both sides of his card. He's a threat value of 3, size 3, and he is a medium mover. Excuse me. All right. Brad, why don't you talk about his attack suite?
Okay, his first attack is physical. It's range 2, 5 dice. It's free. Gain power equal to damage dealt. Wild infection. After this attack is resolved, target character gains the bleed and poison special conditions. His next attack is an energy attack called Buster Cannon. It is range 4, 5 dice. It is also free. And you gain 1 power. And it has Wild Shock, which happens after the attack is resolved. He has an energy attack called Self Must Protect Selffriend. It is range 3, 7 dice, and it's 4 cost. When creating the dice pool for this attack, this character may choose an interactive terrain feature of size 3 or less within range 3 and destroy it. If he does, it may reroll a number of its attack dice up to the destroyed terrain feature's size, and has a wild throw. After the attack is resolved, the target character is size 3 or less. The character may throw it away short.
Okay. Steven, why don't you do the rest of the card?
Okay, so we have an active superpower. It will cost you 2. Techno-organic absorption. Choose an interactive terrain feature within 3 of size 3 or less and destroy it. Then this character removes damage from itself up to the destroyed terrain's feature size. Another active superpower called Transmode Virus Infection will cost you 2 power again. This character and enemy characters within 2 of this character with the poison special condition suffer 2 damage in the order of your choosing. This superpower can be used only once per turn. We have an innate superpower called Unstable Outline. When this character is defending against a physical or energy attack, if the attacking character is not within 3 of this character may add 1 die to its defense roll, and he has the innate power immunity to bleed and immunity to poison.
Okay. So, what are you guys' first thoughts here on Warlock? I've got to say, I think that he's a pretty solid little 3-threat model. I like his kit. I like what he brings to the game. I like that he can heal himself, and I also like that he has the ability to give out poison, and he has the ability to auto damage people who have poison. It's very Omega Red of him, just on a cheaper model. Brad, what are your first thoughts here on Warlock?
So your whole healing and doing 2 auto damage to everybody, if you do that in the other order, it's better.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That's cool.
But yes.
I really like the joke that Unstable Outline is, because when he was created, like the artist that created him basically kind of drew him as a scribble, and he is often just described as a scribble, and some people are good at drawing him as a scribble and some people aren't, but him being a scribble is very funny with the Unstable Outline ability. Like, I just think that's funny. Also, I like the combo of having a up close gainer with a up close builder with a far away gainer. I like that combo a lot. So seeing that here on a cheap model that you're probably going to take in his affiliation, because he's probably only New Mutants. I just think that gives him enough versatility to see play a lot in his faction.
Yeah, he is a 3-point model that has a range 4 5 dice attack that costs 0.
Yeah,
That's
and
energy.
it gives out shock.
And it could give out shock.
It's really good.
That's a good model. That's solid. Steven, what are your thoughts here looking at this guy?
I really like his interaction with terrain and how unique it is.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start seeing more and more of these types of characters, which is refreshing. Um, his defense tech is unique and not unwelcome. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm. It's
uh,
interesting and it's different than what like it's fresh somehow. Like it's different than what's ever been done before. It's
mhm,
weird they can still keep coming up with this stuff.
yeah. So I would rather have this than something like martial prowess, right? So,
I
but
don't know. Martial prowess is great.
no, that's the one where you roll 5 dice. It's not martial artist, Fred,
Oh yeah, you're right. You're
and
right.
it has
I
to be
agree.
within range 2. And if you get lucky and you block it all, they take 2 damage. But how often does that work? Not often. So,
That also means that against ranged characters that are attacking him outside of range 3, this guy's defensive line is 4-4-4, which is an outstanding defensive line for a
four,
3
four,
threat.
5.
No.
Oh wait,
Uh
no, you're right. 4, 4, 4. It's
yeah.
not
Uh
mystics.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
great for a 3-pointer.
right. It's an outstanding for a 3-pointer. And if he survives his turn, he can heal himself for 2 power.
Yeah, it's like that reminds me a lot of Groot, and Groot healing himself every time he gets attacked is really annoying. And this is
Yeah.
going to be too. It's not unlimited. If you run out of terrain, you're going to be
True.
you're going to be in trouble,
But this guy does not have the obvious defense like hole of energy that Groot
that's
does.
true. That's true.
And he can't be bled to death either. And he's always going to have his power.
Yeah.
Right, because he's
Boy,
immune to bleed and poison.
yeah. So he's a good kid. I like him.
I really like him. I think he's a great 3-threat model. I do agree with Brad's take that you probably don't take him outside of affiliation. I don't think he offers anything that I think, man, I really want to do that uh, outside of affiliation. But
It
this
would
guy's gonna.
it would be really funny if he was also Guardians. Not saying he will be. It's quite a stretch, but having him and Groot on the table is going to frustrate opponents.
Can we also say that his spender, self must protect self friend, it's a 7-die energy at range 3, which is already great. It costs 4, which is a little steep,
Yeah.
but it has a wild throw that throws size 3 or less. Very good for a 3-threat model, and he can destroy a terrain feature to gain rerolls up to the size of the terrain feature of size 3 or less. So, I mean, that's outstanding. That's an outstanding attack. I'm impressed with this little guy. I'm into his whole kit. I think that we need to. I think that he will probably not really use the transmit virus infection very often unless there are other models that can easily give out poison, because he probably is not going to be poisoning all that many people. He can, but it's only on his range 2 builder, and it's on a trigger. So he would
What?
probably work very well with in conjunction with Omega Red.
Yeah. He'd probably work well in Apocalypse too, but you kind of don't want non-horsemen in Apocalypse.
True. Yeah. All right, we got to give this guy a letter grade. I will go first. There is a problem that I think he's very good. I think he's fun. I think he's got a really good kit. I think you play him only in the factions that he's affiliated in, but he will be a mainstay of those factions. Um, I want to give him a B. I want to give him a B, and I'm leaning towards a B plus, but I'm gonna say a B. Brad, what are your thoughts here?
Uh, I think B minus.
B minus. Okay. All right, Steven, what have you got here for Warlock?
I'm at a B plus.
Okay, we're all over the bees for this guy. Yeah, I think he's very good, and I'm happy to see him being useful. All right, Brad. What comic books do you think did you bring for us today that feature Warlock?
Okay, so I have three different comics, and when I say comics, I normally mean comic like runs or like stories. I literally mean individual comics this time. I have three individual issues for Warlock. The first one is New Mutants 21. This is Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz. And this is a comic where the New Mutant girls invite some of the local girls over for a slumber party. But that never goes well in a Marvel comic. And an alien crashes into their pool. They fight it a little bit, but they quickly realize that he's probably just as scared as they are. And they go get someone who they think can talk to this alien because he has the power to communicate with anything. And that kid doesn't know he's a mutant yet until this issue. And you can probably guess
Cypher.
that is Cypher. And
Yeah.
you can probably guess who the alien is too, Fred.
Is it Warlock?
No, it's Thanos. No, it's Warlock. It's Warlock.
Fred is
after
stunned.
the whole Malekith being the same size base as Black Dwarf, I'm over here like, is it Thanos?
No, it's Warlock.
My mind is broken.
This is not Warlock's first appearance because it's comics at this time had like B and C plots going on where they would lead up to it being an A plot eventually. And so we've seen him traveling through space up until this point, running from his dad who's tried to kill him. But this is like when he actually meets the normal New Mutant members and joins them. Okay, my second recommendation is New Mutants Annual number 3. This is Chris Claremont and Alan Davis. Warlock and an alien shapeshifter called the Impossible Man get into shapeshifting war. This is kind of a comedic version of the classic Wizard's Duel, which you would have seen in the Sandman TV show or the Sandman comics. Or
or from Sword in the Stone from the Disney classic?
Yes. Was that Sword in the Stone? I thought it was Black Cauldron. Whichever one it's in.
There's one in Sword in the Stone. There may be one also in Black Cauldron. I don't
think
know.
There
I've
is.
Never seen Black Cauldron.
So it either one or both of those old Disney movies. There's also but they also travel all over the world trying to one up each other, and one of them eventually wins, and I don't want to give away how that happens because it's actually really funny. So and it's a single issue. It's an oversized issue because it's an annual, but it is a single issue, and it's on Marvel Unlimited. So
all right.
How can you guys forget the Wizard Duel in Willow?
I have never seen Willow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've never seen Willow.
I
Fred,
saw Willow a very long time ago.
Fred, that okay sounded like you were going to cut me off before I was going to read my third recommendation.
Okay, Brad, why don't you read your third recommendation?
The last one is New Mutants 64. This is Louise Simonson and Brett Blevins. Warlock's best friend has died. Who's that, Fred?
Self-protect, self-friend. I don't know who his best friend is. Is it
Who do you think it is, Fred? Come on, let's use some logic.
I don't know.
It's
Um
Cypher. Cypher.
okay, it's the person he can talk to,
Yeah,
obviously.
to start with. I mean, he can
I'm
talk to
dumb.
everyone eventually, but he's died. But Warlock doesn't understand what that means. So he thinks that if he gives him some energy and shows him how much everyone misses him, that he'll wake back up. Uh, and that's obviously not how it works.
Oh.
And by show him how much people are missing him, I mean literally steal his body out of the grave and parade it around town.
Oh God.
Yeah. So it's this comic's got kind of horror vibes to it. It's also like really tragic and sad. And it's a really really good issue of comics. So,
Oh,
yeah.
poor Warlock.
Yeah, poor
And, and
Warlock. He has to learn
and
what
what
death is.
we learned last week that Warlock refused to kill or didn't kill his father.
Yeah, yeah. He ran away instead of so they his species replicates asexually. Um, just a new one will come out of an old one, and then they will fight, and only one is supposed to survive. But instead of fighting, Warlock fled and ends up on Earth.
Hmm. So he's always been the sweetest of his kind.
Yes, he is. And the reason he's allowed to like stay and be part of the team is because he is a mutant of his kind.
Oh, okay.
Because he like has compassion and understands like things, people, emotions. That
Insanity. Well, thank you, Brad, for those comic book recommendations. Hey, Steven, do you have an affiliation where you think that Warlock would really shine? Can you think of one
Yes.
off the top of your head?
I actually have two.
Okay.
Um, any affiliation that has lost Smash, i.e., the Sentinels, for destroying terrain so it's not thrown at them, I think he would be very good in. Because
Okay.
he could start getting that terrain out of the way so the Sentinels don't get damaged and obliterated by things being thrown at them. Um, that seems to be one of their weaknesses. So I like him there. And the other one would be Convocation for the same reason. Now, I know people will say, well, he gives out conditions, put him in Hydro, or he destroys terrain, put him in Magneto Brotherhood. But I'm looking at it from a different angle in that these factions don't want the terrain around to be thrown at them.
That's fair. Another one that you in that same line of thought, he's good alongside Ultron Metal Tyrant because every time he eats a building, it spits out Ultron grunts.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I like him in factions that would want terrain to be destroyed when they can't really do it themselves. So
All right then. Uh okay, I guess the only thing that's left is my non sequitur recommendation, and I've got nothing for Warlock. I know nothing about this character. Has he ever been portrayed? Like, I guess has a voice actor,
Fred, what's your
probably.
favorite alien movie?
What's my favorite alien? Well, so I have not yet seen Alien Romulus. I want to. I have not seen it yet. But my favorite one is probably Aliens. Probably the second Alien movie, the James Cameron one. So that's actually a very good,
my favorite
very good
my
recommendation.
favorite movie in the Alien universe is Predator 2.
Oh God, an insane decision, an insane choice. But yeah, I'm gonna say aliens. That's a good enough recommendation. I was gonna say something else, but that's more appropriate than what I was gonna say. So that's it for today, I guess. We'll call it a night now. Thank you all for joining me to talk about Warlock, and thanks all the listeners for bearing with us as I have a cognitive breakdown over the size of the base of Malekith. Goodbye, everybody.
Brett, are you gonna go check?
Yes.